Hi, my name's Stephanie Rachel Guttenplan. People call me Pookie. And I am an artist and a women's artist coach. Men, if you are here, I'm not here to turn you away, to judge, to deny you of anything. I work with women because I can connect deeply with what it means to be a woman, and I keep it as simple as that. I'm sure if you were to continue listening to this webinar, you will find something of value. We're talking about morning practices. We're talking about um, things to put into place in our life so that we can access the inner us, the artist, the creative, the truth, our core values, the manifester, the sacredness in which we are. So here's the warning. Welcome to the show. I have done a lot of research. I have invested in coaches, business coaches, everything else, all to bring you the best content. And in the webinars that I've watched, in all of these things I've sat in, there's a sense of detachment. There's PDFs, there's just a voice over it, there's no face interaction. The only reason why the coaching that I do works is because of the connection. It's because two people are looking at the same problem. So I'm going to show face. I'm going to be cutting around a little bit. I'm going to have some PDFs thrown in there. I'll have little PDFs that you'll need to read of where I'm going. I'm really here to get from point A to point Z in a way where you walk out of here with something. And I have a script. And I'm not really following the script because I'm more concerned about just being and letting whatever's coming through happen. So the warning is, be warned, this isn't normal. Okay. And scene. So I'm here to create unapologetic authenticity. To have you be creating in like the pure uniqueness, like if you were to come down to like a seed of a root of why you're creative, I'm here to get you connected to that, and have you aligned to your core values, knowing them, bouncing every choice that you have against them, to then be able to bring in people that match that, clients that match that, viewers that match it, artwork that matches it, opportunities, your life. I work with any level of creatives, from just starting out to feeling stuck, to falling in creativity, to it's too late, to I missed my chance, to I have nothing to say, to I am so an editorial world and advertisement world, I have no idea who I am as an artist, to everything in between. Welcome. I'm going to go ahead and get started. And how I'm going to get started is I'm actually going to just go ahead and like welcome you to this space. So, whatever you have going on in your life, whatever your life looks like, however you can have that fade out, I'm going to invite you to do that right now. So, if you need to walk away from people, or if you need to close a bunch of windows, or put your phone on Do Not Disturb, whatever you need to do, go ahead and do that. Close all the windows, make me full screen, not because this is about me, but just so you can't really see anything else. If there's a way of focusing in on not only this, but yourself, to have everything else fade away, do that. You're going to want something to write with and write on. So if you need to do that, go ahead and do that. And start to just get present to your breath. There's like a flow of energy with breath, and if you can really feel it, expanding to receive it, and then letting it go ahead and make it a deeper meaning of what do you need to let go of in this moment. There is no history here and there's no future here. We're going to talk all about present moment. Because as we discuss what a morning practice is and why it's important, I'll constantly be saying you need to listen to yourself right here, right now. And how you listen is through your breath. Let your roots dig into the ground. Let them be nourished. Let you be nourished. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to acknowledge you for being here, for taking time out of your day for something that's really about you. You don't need to have an excuse to be here right now. You don't need to have a reason. You don't need to have a hard time, or you don't need to have a big opportunity. You are enough to get to know yourself and to ask yourself some questions. So what we will go over today, and what I'll bring to this webinar, are really 4 things. Number 1 will be agreements for us to live by. We're going to start it right here, right now on this phone call once I hand them to you. But the invitation is for you to practice these agreements once you hear them from here on out. See what you can create with them. The second is the pillars or the ingredients of a daily practice. What makes up a daily practice and how yours can look. We'll go through a variety. The third thing I'll go over is an integration intentionality. So what kind of practices we can have in place, what kind of awarenesses can we note, all of that so that we become aware, we do things about it, and transformation happens. Elevation happens or expansion happens. And fourth, there'll be a bunch of action steps, invitations, things for you to start practicing starting now, moving forward. I want to take a moment to be honest about this thing of like people coming on here and giving you something and then inviting you to hire them as a coach, which I'm going to be later telling you if you want to work with me and if you dig this webinar and you think that I could be supportive of you, hell yes, we're going to plan a call and we're going to talk about it. We're going to figure out what you want. But I'm going to go ahead and say that I've invested in marketing. I have done a ton of research. I have watched 1,000 webinars. I have all these notes. And when it comes down to it, I just got to trust myself. Just like I'm going to be doing constantly with you is like listen deeply to you. So I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now that normally there's a PDF. As I said earlier, normally you don't see face. Normally it's pointing towards your problems and what's wrong and scarcity and why you haven't figured it out and pointing at things that you need to fix. I'm going to tell you right now there's nothing to fix. You don't need me. The pieces of you that are imperfect are actually like your perfection. The shadow of your heart is saying a deep message that gets to be shared. How we accept all of us is how this shit works. So that's my actual practice too, like, right? That's my life work, is to accept that I'm freaking human. It sucks. So I'm here to work in partnership with you. But I just want to take a moment to be honest that like, we all have pain points. We all have blame, shame, and guilt. We've all, as artists, I'm just going to go ahead and go into the artistry, we've all worked for free. We've all done jobs that we really didn't want to do. We've all dealt with clients to the degree of like it being, feeling traumatic. We've all said something that wasn't true. We've all held back our truth, whether it's creatively, whether it's at a dinner table, whether it's whoever you sleep next to and love at night, whether it's your children, or your workplace. We hold back. Or we are 1 degree away from our truth. Or we do something that is totally out of alignment with ourselves because we feel like we have to. Or we let our priorities fall down the scale because of everything else we need to do, right? We're nurturers. And as women and men, this isn't just, if you're still here, hi. But as women, we are creative as like human beings. Like we create human. We do this thing that's a miracle. So if there's any doubt that you're a creative or an artist, I'm going to go ahead and say that your body's made for it. And your body's so close to your heart, and the nourisher that you are and the lover that you are has something to say. There's a sense of vulnerability here. There's a sense of sensitivity of like, we are made to say and to teach and to mentor and to love. So I'm not going to point at the pieces of you that you are self-conscious about. I'm not going to tell you why you're screwed up and why everything isn't perfect. This world isn't set up for us to be honest. And so as women, I'm calling forth my women and my men, right? It's just really the feminine energy of like that divine truth. And we need the masculine energy too. I am super masculine as well. I have that masculine side of me. I like run through shit. I can burn shit through to make things happen. I will scrape at nothing and create. It's very masculine energy. And there's also that I got to accept, right? Like how I can hang out with the dudes and bro out. And that gets to be okay. So there's a lot of pieces here. And I will never make you wrong. It's far from what I'm here to do. When I say these agreements, first of all, I'm going to say what we're going to put down. What we're going to put down, what we're not going to have present on this webinar. I do a lot of phone calls, webinars, and also like past this webinar, I'm going to invite you to practice it. So I'm going to have you write it down. But before I go and tell you what to put down, this isn't like we are denying these things. It's not like, oh, shove it in the bottom of my fucking stomach. Ooh, I'm going to cuss on this. On the bottom of my stomach, and I'm going to avoid it, and I'm going to get really mad at myself and create shame and some guilt, and like, why can't I let this go? And I know I'm not supposed to do this, and that is the farthest from what I want right now. It's a practice. And the practice is to create neutrality around the humans that we are, so that we can learn from it, become aware, instead of any sort of shame or blame or guilt about it. So when I say put down, I just mean place. I mean gently, like love it. Whatever's happening, love it and put it aside. And I promise you will come back. I promise. But for right now, we're just going to put it down. So your ego might hate how simple this is. Or it might love it. And how deeply you take these on will be up to you. So the things we're setting down, and you should write these down. Set down for now, and gently and lovingly. The first one is being right. If we're being right, that means something's wrong, and that means that we're proving something, and there's better than, and we just, we're not right. What if everything was right? The second one is judgment and comparison. It's a hard one. The third one is blame, guilt, and shame. And the fourth one is avoidance of pain and looking good. So being right, judgment and comparison, blame, guilt and shame, and avoidance of pain and looking good. So again, we are just placing these down. I'm going to speak a second about intention. Well, more in a second. But intention is a very used word with little definition, and everyone creates their own riff off of it. So I'm just going to share what intention means to me and how I use it. Because we can make it complicated. Again, your egos might hate how simple I make things. Or I might really like it. But intention is where you put your attention. So if I'm walking through the day and I hit a choice point, right? And hopefully I have a pause that's long enough for me to actually choose instead of just going to robotic reaction, right? Where I might choose looking good or avoiding pain or being right or judgment or comparison or blame, shame, or guilt. So it's like the robotic responses of survival, or there's a really intentional way that we can practice being. Not to judge how we normally react. We just placed it down. But to place that stuff down means I just took all of my survival skills and put it on the side. So now how will I survive? How will I react? So I bounce everything off of an intention. So I pick up intention. Intention for me is where my attention is. It's what I'm going to bounce all of my choices off for the day. So let's say that, well, first, I have people that I've coached. I've done a lot of coaching in my days. That when I ask what their intention is, they go on this beautiful, poetic rendition of what they're going to create for the day. And 4 minutes in, I have no idea what their intention is. They're beautiful. I think they should go in books. But if I have to wait that long to like connect to my intention, I've already reacted and I've already done whatever I've done and I've moved on. I say it needs to fit in your back pocket. So to create that simplicity, I keep it to like 1 or 2 words of who I'm going to be or what I'm creating throughout the day. And like ways of being or energy that I'm accessing within myself so that I'm able to do it. So my word of the year, and I've done practices last year, my word of the year for 2018 was heal. So everything that I bounced up decisions against was like, is this accessing to heal? Or is this accessing the healer within me? Am I creating healing? Is this providing an opportunity for healing? For me, for the other person, for the community I was in, for the workplace, for the relationship I was in, for any of that. Was I perfect? No. And that was my practice. And for this year, it's nourishment. Nourishing, nourishment, nourish. I'm bouncing everything against that. So even this webinar right now, I'm here to nourish the artist that you are. The woman, the man, the human, the creative, the spiritual being and a human experience that you are. I'm here to nourish it. So that's my bit about intention is like, how can we keep it so freaking simple that when we are in some sense of whatever chaos is for us or anxiety or worry or triggerness or whatever it is, how are we responding? Putting down our defense mechanisms and how we respond when we are not super grounded. And how are we choosing intentionally instead? This would be the time of this webinar in which I break down all of the circumstances that you have, the stories you tell yourself, the patterns that you've adopted to have it be that you're not speaking your truth in your art or in your life or whatever those blocks are, whatever's finding you here, right now, right? To have this morning practice be something that nourishes whatever you're looking for. I can list down and spell out and explain all of our blocks, but I think we know those better than we want to. So instead of going through that very long list, I'm going to move forward to the main reason why we don't trust ourselves or our truth, why there's a disconnect. There's another very long list of things that I could say of why this world isn't set up for us to win. And I can easily have us be angled in a way of being victim to culture, to media, to damn the man, to clients, to our priorities, to our other commitments. I can go ahead and angle us that way. But I think the most breathtaking one to work through. Ooh. The most breathtaking one to work through is the trusting of self. And right now we are in the age of Aquarius. And what the age of Aquarius is, the biggest concern of it is that we have everything that we need at our fingertips. I can ask, I have Alexa in my I can ask her anything. And unless she can't hear me, right, because I'm not speaking clearly or enunciating, wherever that is, she will tell me the answer. I don't even have to type anything out. She knows the weather. I don't even have to do it. So she knows more than that. But to be able to have something like this at our fingertips, where we don't really need to trust ourselves anymore. reassurance of everything is available and something that fits in your back pocket. So what I've seen is, and the amount of resources, right? Like it's almost overwhelming, the amount. Even just like social media, scrolling through social media or Instagram or your email or watching TV or driving and there's advertisements or whatever that is. There's an actual need to digest through senses. And there's so much out there. There's so much stimulation that's outside of us, and it all has answers that we don't really need to think so much about what we think or how would I trust, like, can I trust this right now? I can go look it up and come up with like all the pros and cons. I can come up with why I do or don't trust this or why I agree or why I don't, all of that. So as far as like the age of Aquarius, the whole art of this age is actually to dive within and get to know ourselves, to get to know and learn and actually like how to be alone when we can be connected in seconds. There's such connection deficiency, though, because we're not truly connected to ourselves, and we're so concentrated in everything that we're supposed to be trusting outside of us that there is no real connection to us. So we're not really connected. So then we still feel alone, and then we're choosing out of everything else. So it's this whole skew here of everything's available, yet we can't digest it or really obtain it or like be with it. And who the hell cares what everything else is? What do we think? How do we feel? How do we see the world? So working through being able to have access to source. Source for me is like all of my own energy. For me, it's my spiritual practices. It's my ability to connect to the ground, to the heavens, to the world, to you, through me. And if I am looking outside of me to find things, then I'm a bit screwed. This is Osa. There's a lot of animals in my house. She's cute. She's a puppy. Okay, so sorry. So if this cannot handle what's coming at me, that's actually going to be, that's like a cause of overload, of anxiety, of worry, what we're all like feel doomed with, right? Like, so the whole way this world is not set up for us is because it's so accessible and so easy to plug into that we've actually lost a bit of ourselves. So now it's time to find, time to dig in, time to connect. And that's all that daily practice is. So once you start integrating and doing your daily practice, I want to talk about some things that you can start to notice, as well as things that you can put on your map of things to take note of. Things that could come up and you can use to move you forward even more. So first and foremost, you have a deeper connection to your body. And start to experience what it means to embody. So as I spoke about intention and having like heal as an intention word, like to access the healer within me, I now know where it lives in my body. How to evoke it from. I also know when I have certain pains or aches or things start to happen, they mean certain things for me, either things that I need to work through, parts of myself I need to access in response to whatever's happening. Like the back of my neck. It's fear of death. No light fear. But when I start to feel it and it gets really tight and I have to crack it open and everything else, I actually really need to access serenity and freedom and like presence. That's at the bottom of my feet. That's like me letting my roots go down to the ground. It's letting my knees soften. So I'm able to work with my body because I have a relationship with it. That within itself is kind of a miracle. But to live in our bodies. Second, this is why I suck at scripts. Just keep going. Okay. Another thing, I'm not going to name them and number them because I'm going off track and listing them all together. Intuition. to know where yours lives, how it speaks to you, and to have it listen. Have you listened to it? My intuition at first sounded a lot like an old mentor. Before that, it sounded a lot like my parents. Now it sounds a little bit more like me. So intuition, where it lives, how it's yours, and what isn't yours. You might have adopted some wisdom that isn't necessarily your own. Not that it's right or wrong, just to know. Another thing that you can get from practicing a daily practice is your own clarity of your truth, your desires, your authenticity, like who you are, why you are, what your message is. I always say that we are all given a message to tell. I think it's always based off of a factor of resilience. What is my hair doing? Based off of a factor of resilience or something we've been through. Normally our imperfections in the shadows of our heart is normally where our most profound messages are. And if we were to be trees and you would cut us in half, you would be able to see how many rings we are, where we're from, what kind of tree, how long, there's just like so much information in that. So it's like we are all given a messages within us. I refer to it as a truth print. So I might say it over and over again, but it's like a fingerprint, but it's you. You have one message, it's the only one, and it's like a fingerprint. However majestic or criminal it may be, you have something to say, and it's yours. And it's really just your truth. So also, the next is to start practicing. What you'll get out of your daily practice is to practice accessing your neutral mind. This is the mind of neutrality is also where things can be manifested. It's also where things can be seen so that you can create integration. If it's not negative or positive or right or wrong or good or bad or whatever else that is, it's able to be seen neutrally and have something done about it. Also, when you speak a neutral mind, it's normally like the most powerful way to manifest. When you're super clear, like unwavering clarity, when you say something that's going to happen, it normally will. The universe is listening for your neutral mind. I went through more than I'm supposed to. Transforming your relationship with shame, blame, and guilt. To be able to process it, work with it, be in relationship with it, to access it, to feel it, and also to not have it run your life. Not have it run your heart. That can be worked through in your daily practice. And then through that, the amount of groundedness that you will start to experience will also provide an opportunity for you to access the source of your personal power. Like all of you. And then with that, as I was speaking about source just a little bit ago, then you're self-generating, self-cleaning, self-sustaining. There is no need for anyone else to assure or affirm or like that feeling like the need of love or need of clarity from something else is no longer needed because it's just you with you and you know and you trust. And last and certainly not least, what is available here is transformation. With all that I just discussed, there's also an ability to become aware, to integrate, to move forward. To come aware, to integrate, to move forward. Become aware, and do it over and over and over again until there's an expansion, an elevation, a transformation, a transition. Whatever you are seeking can be obtained. But it needs to happen with clarity, like we spoke about earlier. So with the morning practice, what is available to you is everything that you're looking for. So for morning practice, there are 3 pillars that make up the foundation for whatever you're up to. So as far as the 3 pillars go, there is a slight order, yet not really. There is an ability to be human with it, to play with it, to be curious about it. There is one rule that I put into place personally just because it makes most sense to me. So the 3 pillars, there's a releasing, a letting go of. It can be cathartic. It can be whatever it is, right? An act of letting go of whatever's not going to serve you. So there's a releasing of, and then the second pillar is grounding. This is love it. Is grounding. And grounding in like having you feel in your body and to welcoming to your present moments. Like it's all in presence. And then the third being whatever you're calling in. It can be filling or nourishing or intentional. Like what are you calling forth in your day? Right? So there's a release, a let go to create space. Everything that's not really serving you. If you had a bad night, bad dreams, you're in a shitty space, you're thinking of the history or the future, whatever that is, whatever's not having you be right here, right now. Whatever's having you play in one of those things that we put down earlier. Whatever's having you judge, compare, any shame, blame, or guilt, anything that feels like you're avoiding pain or trying to look good and being right. So there's releasing of whatever that looks like in your life, whether there's a resentment, whether you can't stop thinking about the fact that you need to pay a bill or a relationship or whatever it is, whatever's consuming your mind that is not intentional. You're releasing it. Whether that can look like writing. It can look like movement. It can look like anything that letting go. I had one mentor, there's my resources all coming in. I had one of my mentors who and I was living in Brooklyn at the time. I was all in my shit. And she's like, I'm not here to listen to you and your shit. So why don't you call me back? And hung up on me and then texted me and said, go scream at yourself in your closet. So I'm in Brooklyn where we all live on top of each other and I am screaming. I was dropping F-bombs, screaming at myself, trying to get all this stuff out. And it was so therapeutic at the same time. I was feeling a little crazy. I remember my roommate walked into our apartment. Thankfully, she's like a sister. I could life with that woman for the rest of my life. And she comes in and she just is like, Stephanie's doing whatever she's doing. And so I was releasing. And the sense of that is like, if I am consumed by something, there is no point in trying to ground. There is no point in trying to set intention because I'm still consumed with the thing that's in the thing. So there's releasing. Grounding, sometimes I need to ground before I release. Before I could fart, if you will. So that's up to you, right? Like that's what it comes down to, like deeply listening. Like before I do any morning practice, I get to sit and I get to ask myself, like, what do I need this morning? Knowing that these are the 3 pillars, what will they look like? And that's just my own creation of that morning. It's also part of being creative and an artist is like, how I even do the morning practice. If I stay curious and stay creative, it can be forever evolving. I might make up something new that I've never done before that no one else has done before. Maybe I'll find something about myself. I'll learn something about myself, even if that's something that's really hard to know. So the grounding piece can be meditating. It can be breathing. Again, it can be movement. I'm a very big body worker. So sometimes putting on a tune without any lyrics, sometimes with lyrics, and letting myself move is useful. Also a yogi. So I'm practicing Kundalini and I'm being certified as a teacher. So you doing some of that practice. There's chanting, there's praying, there's literally going outside and finding the ground and connecting to it. Or looking down and literally seeing my feet. Imagining that the roots of myself is going into the ground. Whatever that is, there's a grounding. And the third part is that filling. I say filling. It's like you just let go of all that stuff. You just ground it. You have space. So the same thing when you pick up an intention and you're bouncing everything against that, when you put down all the other stuff, the same thing, then you have space to fill, to set an intention for the day. Sometimes setting an intention, I need to write, like ask myself a question, go back, see what words stick out and like make my spine like straighten, or I feel chills up it, or whatever that is. Then I go back, circle the words, figure out what my intention is for the day. Every single day can look different, but there's a releasing, grounding, and filling. That's the morning practice. You can commit to however you want to commit to it. I will say, and I know I'm speaking to someone because it feels really big in me right now. If you are someone who overcommits to things, when you make this commitment to yourself, it can take 5 minutes. It can take 2 minutes. It can take 10 minutes. It can take 15. I have one of my mentors says she does an hour of power every morning for herself. If you are someone who tends to overcommit or a perfectionist, do not. I would say it's not a very nice thing to overcommit to a morning practice, because not only are you going to blame, shame, and guilt yourself about it when it's not perfect, but you're not setting yourself up to win. And once we fall off the routine, right? It's like, oh, I was on a diet and then I didn't do it and I haven't been on it since, and it's been months. When we fall off, it's so much harder to get on. I see in recovery, people go out and it takes them a very long time to work through all of the emotional stuff that go with this relapsing, right? And there's relapse in going back to the old way of living. It doesn't have to be drinking or drugging. It doesn't have to be sugar. It doesn't have to be sex. It doesn't have to be love. It can be simply how we treat ourselves, how we're in a relationship with ourselves. So, you are human. Sorry, and you're welcome. So, in this commitment, it's also a commitment to a practice. It will be imperfect. There is no, I don't have a solid set of instructions to give you. There's releasing, there's grounding, and there's a filling, or intention, or however you want to, what words work for you is what you should write down. If I were to give you the exact steps of the morning practice, it's no longer you. You will not find your authenticity in me giving you, first you're going to do this, second you're going to do that, third you're going to do that, fourth, blink twice, fifth. No, it's not going to, you get to figure it out. It's also, you're creative. You will get to know yourself on a very deep level if you sit and ask yourself. My invitation here is to not find something that kind of works and then starts doing it every day. To stay curious and deeply listen to your body, and to your heart, to your mind, what it needs. If you try and figure out this practice alone, and if you do this alone, sorry, it won't be as effective. I won't say it won't work. You'll find things. Having a community, having a person, having a mentor, having someone to talk to, having a second pair of eyes looking at what you're doing, to be able to process. How often do we speak so honestly that it's uncomfortable to have someone else look and be like, oh, you're doing that thing when you look outside of you for solutions instead of just going within. What does your heart say? You might need to set some boundaries, or ask permission, or make requests. There's a sense of communicating here. If you have a partner who sleeps next to you, they might need to know that you need some time alone. If you have dogs, cats, I have two. If you have things that you need to take care of, how can you take care of them while also taking care of yourself? You have kids, you have a business, you have whatever you have. How do you set boundaries, ask for requests, and give yourself permission to do a morning practice? That's a morning practice. So just to, before I do a quick summary of what we've gone through so far with a little PDF, so that if you wanted to screenshot, you can. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, I haven't told you yet, because you did this, you also gave me your email. So I'm actually going to give you some inspiration. So some of the things that I'm giving with this phone call is I'm inviting you to do a morning practice, like no shit, no caca, for 7 days. And with that, I'm also going to be emailing you things. I'm not trying to overload the amount of shit in your inbox, but rather having a daily reminder of, oh yeah, Pookie's emailing me. I should make sure I do my morning practice tomorrow morning, or whatever that is. As far as what you guys will get, it's a week full of emails. This is in no particular order. But the things that you'll see are journal prompts for you to discover and uncover and debrief your daily practice. So there'll be some daily prompts. I tend to work a lot with music, and being an artist as well. I'll be visually stimulating, but I'm also a body worker, so let yourself move if you will. Also, send me back tunes. The second thing that will be sent your way will be an invitation to my closed Facebook group. It's called Women Artist Warriors. Sorry, men, it's just for the women. It is really just a tribe online. It's all free content. We go live, passing activities, sharing work, also having a deeper conversation of what it means to be an artist, what we're bumping up against, what we want to create, and having just a safe space to lean into. So you'll have a link to that, an invitation, and to join and collaborate with us online. The third is a practice of an intentionality. So to have you further practice that, have a little process for you to create a word that can be your intention for the rest of the year, for a month, for however long you want it to be. The fourth one is an activity to create clarity in the artist that you are and why you're an artist, like why you're given the gift of art. So it's another activity that you can do. Number 5 is going to be an opportunity for you to submit your work to be seen in a digital publication that I'll be distributing by the end of the year. Might be physical too, but I haven't decided yet. Regardless, more information and the opportunity to submit will be in one of the emails. 6 is a deep debrief for awareness, for learning, for forward movement, and further integration for you. And the last one will be a breakthrough call if you want to have a call with me to discuss what your moving forward is, for me to get to know you, for you to actually have a conversation with me and see if you actually like me. And if you want to continue working together, that would be an opportunity for us to discuss that. So goodies will be coming to your inbox. Now I'm going to have a summary of the call up until now before I move more forward. The agreements to live by. Number 1 is being right. 2 is judgment and comparison. 3 is blame, guilt, and shame. And 4 is avoidance of pain and looking good. And what you're picking up is your intention. Whatever that is. And a reminder, your intention should be pocket size. Have it be so small and simple that it's actually really vast and has depth. The morning practice ingredients is releasing, grounding, and that filling, nourishing. Of course I say nourishing because it's my intention of the year. And setting your intention. Intentional integration. This was my next bullet point. I know I already spoke a little bit about intention, but intentional integration means that you're gaining awareness, you're integrating it, you're creating a transformation for yourself and elevating. Because you're constantly debriefing and working with intention. It's a practice. Is to ask yourself 3 questions. What worked? What didn't? And what's next? What will be different so that what didn't work turns into something that makes work? Whatever didn't work is an opportunity for growth and for integration. And to always have something that worked creates gratitude and more fuel to your fire. So both need to be answered, even if you feel like you can't find either. And so easy do we turn in, either your self-sabotager, self-hater, downer, really hard on yourself, high expectations. This is me. It's harder for me to find something that worked. If you're someone who likes to avoid pain, maybe look good, be right, everything else, it might be harder for you to find something that didn't work. How easy we were like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. The day was fine. So you'll find more there. The first one, to break it down, because I went through probably all these already because I'm really bad at following a script, but I just want to talk to you. I don't want to read the script. So the first one is setting your intention for the day. 1 word or 2 words, max 3 words. Have it be easy for you to turn to. Second part is noticing. When you find yourself consumed on something that is nothing to do with your intention after you've said it in the morning, to notice. So that your energy isn't consumed, you're not giving your power away to something that is not your intention. Because your intention will not you will not give your power away to your intention. If you give your power to your intention, you're actually filling yourself up with more power. You're taking your power back. So look at where your energy goes. Once you become more aware, there's a cycle to break. And again, I said it earlier and I'll say it again. If you have awareness and there is no integration or there's no action around it, without action, there is suffering. If I am really wise and have all of these awarenesses and aha moments and, oh my God, I've learned so much about me, and I don't do anything about it, there will be great suffering. Number 4 is to do the morning practice. See what you can do there. See how you can do it, how new you can be with it, and how you can listen deeply to yourself every morning. See if it can look a little different every day. Don't force it to look different every day, but see what your body calls for. See what happens when you deeply listen. I call it a morning practice. It doesn't even be in the morning. I think it's better in the morning, but if you are going throughout the day and you're doing awareness, maybe your best time is at night. Maybe it's lunch. Maybe there's a check-in at lunch. Whatever. You'll find what that is. Number 5, I just lead it into it because I felt like I suck at following scripts, is to be curious. So there is no perfection. I didn't give you any steps, really. I just gave you a bunch of ideas to be able to create whatever your stew is, right, of your practice. So there's no perfection in this. And based off of the agreements that we put in earlier, you can't judge it. And it might never be right. And not having blame, shame, or guilt about it, whatever you're creating with it, right? Like, how can it be all neutral? With neutrality, you can be curious, as if the little boy or girl that just is seeing the stars for the first time. Like, there is great wonder in discovery. So allow yourself. Access that inner artist, the inner child, the curious brain, the one in awe of life. See how many times you can be gasp at the normalcy of the world. Because it's actually quite beautiful if we pause, take a look. 2 questions I will hand you. I guess I have 6 things because it just came up for me. If you are hitting something, or you're in some sort of hard spot, 2 questions is, what is here for me to learn? And how and where can I apply this learning? See what is made there. Create some neutrality about it. Instead of having it be so bad, how can we use it as an opportunity and use it as fuel for our own growth? Okay, so today I promised agreements to live by, went over that. Ingredients or pillars for daily practice, we went over that. Intentional integration, heck yes, we did. And first action steps, I gave you a bunch of practices. The other part of this is an invitation for you to create, and I guess it's the final action step, is to make a goal for yourself. That's tangible, something you can grab or know it's true. Like, how will I know it's done? And how will you know it's complete? Whether it's a new series, get really specific about it. Like, it's going to be 10 pieces, it's going to be these sizes, how they're made is like this, and I'm going to have it all complete by this date. It needs a date. Call those by-wins, but it needs a final date, so you're working in a timeline. That's the end of my webinar. So, as far as what's next, this is when I come in. If you feel called, if you like what I had to offer, if you think my energy is something that can really support you, if you think me as a woman, human, artist, whatever you think, If you have inklings, reach out. I'm offering a free call for us to have a talk. The talk will be something where I'm going to request that you come open, that you come after some reflection, even after this webinar, whether you wait until the 7 days, do a couple days of the morning practice, or if you just do it right after this, that's up to you. I'm going to go ahead and say, trust your intuition and where you want to go. I do this because this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Of course, I want to work with you, right? If this relationship and this connection can be something that moves you forward, heck yes, I want to be about it. I want to make a difference. So as far as what I do offer, just to speak into it for a second, I am offering a one-on-one 3-month coaching intensive program. And my intensive program is created for us to work together for you to create transformation in your life. Wherever you want to go, we're going. Each session is fine-tuned to whatever you need. I hold the space for safety. There's non-judgment, and I honor you. So I'm told, and I set my own intention for me to support you in a way where I lean in more deeply than most. I'll sit in the shadows of your heart and tell you I'm not afraid of your dark, and I will love the parts of you you seem to have grown to hate for some reason. Our work will be as profound as science. It can be as down to earth as a home-cooked meal with your favorite person, and as transformational as a story of a butterfly. So if something's poking at you or tapping on your shoulder, that this might support you or expand your life or elevate it, I'm here for that. I hope that you enjoyed this webinar. I hope that you learned something. I hope that you practice it. And I am going to leave you with some inspiration from the book Big Magic. Extraordinary treasures are hidden within you. And bringing those treasures to light take work, faith, focus, courage, and hours of devotion. The clock is ticking and time is running, and the world is spinning, and we are simply do not have time anymore to think small. With that, aho to my brothers and sisters. I hope to hear from you soon. Ciao for now.